Hey everybody, welcome back to When Creatives Thrive, a Create Baltimore podcast. I'm Stuart Rustin, and before we get going, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, anything you can do to help us to continue to tell creative stories. On this episode, we feature Sarah Doccolo. With a background in the arts, she has been deeply involved with multiple award-winning theater companies in Baltimore as a director, performer, and educator for more than a decade. She's passionate about applying her love of the arts within the intersection of Baltimore tourism, education, and conservation to celebrate her community by connecting to nature. Sarah currently manages community programs at the National Aquarium, where she designs events meant to serve local communities. In her role, she curates Voyages, a one-of-a-kind immersive event that invites artists to collaborate with scientists and other staff to reimagine the classic aquarium experience. We'll learn more about the upcoming edition set for July 2026, and stay tuned as tickets go on sale to the public soon. Sarah, welcome to When Creatives Thrive. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
So I know that you have a long history in the arts and culture space. You're also from Baltimore originally. Tell us a little bit about your origin story. How did you get to the aquarium?
It has been a very cool journey to get to the aquarium. So my family's from Baltimore, and my parents wanted to have me grow up in they were homesteaders in the 80s, essentially.
Cool.
So we grew up in a very small town in a rural area in the Catoctin Mountains. But Baltimore was always home. It was always the family home. It was where we would visit. So Baltimore has always been a big part of my identity. And my favorite Baltimore fact is about me that I'm going to share and start off with.
Yes, please do.
That my great-grandfather proposed to my great-grandmother on the top of Federal Hill, and I think that's really sweet.
That's so cute.
So so Baltimore's always been a big part of my life. And then as I grew up, I started to get more interested in the arts and in music. So, of course, I took little ballet classes when I was younger at an amazing studio. The small town had an awesome dance studio. So I was very lucky to be exposed to that early on. And then we had band in school, and I wanted to do theater and acting. So that was kind of the track that I got on pretty early as a kid. And then in high school, I had this desire to use theater to help people, use art to help people. It was a really deep calling that I had. And I got a scholarship from the state of Maryland to stay in the arts and to stay in the state.
Oh, that's
great. I was a Maryland Distinguished Scholar in the Arts for theater.
Heck yeah.
When I was in high school. And so I got money to stay in the state. And I went to Goucher College because their campus had old trees. So
That was the thing that did it for you?
That was Goucher was fun and kind of fit with the desire of who I wanted to be. Like the vibe felt right. And then I was like, I want to go to that school because they have old trees. And we're close to Baltimore.
Yeah, very close.
So I went to Goucher, and then I went there with a lot of people I still am connected with now, and a lot of folks who started the Baltimore Rock Opera Society and working in the theater scene at that time. It was like DIY everything, and
Very Baltimore.
It was so Baltimore.
Super
I was
Baltimore.
in warehouses doing rehearsal in basements and just having such a good time getting to try out new and experimental theater.
Is that basically how you would describe the Baltimore Rock Opera?
Oh, there isn't one word to describe the Rock Opera Society.
And I would
it's
never
so big.
want you
it's
to.
So,
Yes.
It's so fun. It's such a big spectacle and joyful space where people can come and experiment and try things. But the shows themselves, I think, are something more tangible that audiences can really sink their teeth into, because the music is so big and fun and accessible. But I was working with the Rock Opera Society. I was also doing a lot of work with the Annex Theater. I was lucky to work with Single Carrot. And then I was also involved in the music scene. So I was in a metal punk band for a while, and
as one does.
And in a folk music band for a little bit. And just, I got to have fun, and I felt like I was always getting to make something collaboratively. And I think that the collaborative approach to art, to theater, to music in Baltimore could have been born out of the DIY. We don't have millions of dollars to put on production. So if we all work together, let's see how big we can make something.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
And that's, unique I don't think it's unique necessarily, but I think that is like a strength in Baltimore, is the collaborative energy that people bring to projects and making their dreams come true.
Definitely. It's like a can-do thing, you know? It's like the budget doesn't necessarily have to shape the thing that you're trying to make. It's just like, how many people can I get together? What can we all bring to this? And it's like there's a creativity, I think, in that process, as well as whatever you're trying to do, right?
You have a really good idea and you bring it to a group of people and they're like, hell yeah, I'll help you make this thing. I'll help make this dream come true. And like, what a joy and gift that is as an art scene. Like, that is like the spirit of the art scene, I think, in Baltimore.
It's interesting, though, that you find yourself going from that sort of DIY space to a place like the aquarium, which I consider to be a magical place, but it's also an institution, right? I mean, it's been around for a while. It's obviously very well known up and down the East Coast and beyond. Like, did you feel like you fit in a space like that when you were brought on?
So the way I ended up at the aquarium was really, I'll give you all of the the connecting pieces.
Yeah,
I
please.
started in like art and theater, which led me to education.
Yeah.
So I was working for a nonprofit education that's still around today, Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center. They're incredible. They bring arts education to schools all across the city. So that's how I was bringing art into my professional career. So I started that, and then I was doing nonprofit work, and then I was doing more leadership in nonprofit, like running after school programs and summer camps, and kind of going in that direction. So teaching artist administration for a nonprofit. So that was kind of the route I ended up going, which led me to working at BOPA, the Baltimore Office of Promotion in the Arts, kind of the last few years of BOPA as BOPA.
Right.
And I was doing arts education there at a time where I was really learning what that even means and how to put arts and admin together. And it's hard.
Yeah.
Did you know that it's very hard?
Yeah.
And of course you know that. And I think it's hard work, but work worth doing for sure. And so I was in that space and then working on Artscape and Light City and doing festivals and kind of community work through the arts, through education. So like all of those words together, and then an opportunity opened up at the aquarium in 2020 to do community programs, specifically being the liaison for Artscape, for Light City. But at the aquarium, which is, as you said, it's an institution. It's like, it's kind of ever present for people in Maryland and beyond.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should do that job. I could do that. That sounds great. So I kind of applied a little bit on a whim, just because I felt called to do something new. And I got the job. And my first day was March 16th, 2020, the day the aquarium closed for COVID.
Wow. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. And I was pregnant at the time and like getting ready to have a kid. It was COVID
timing. Wow.
And shifting in career. But I think because the whole world changed when my job changed, I never had imposter syndrome. Because like here I am at the aquarium, I do have expertise in like the city and art installations and people. Like I love people, and it made sense. So yeah, now I'm at the aquarium, and I've been there for 6 years.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Voyages at the aquarium. It sits at the intersection of art, science, and conservation. I'm just wondering, like, what is it like when artists are invited into a space like the aquarium to sort of, reinterpret the stuff that normally ends up in an academic space, now kind of gets translated into an artistic, cultural event?
Yeah. So Voyages pairs Baltimore artists with scientists and experts around something that the artists really want to learn more about. So that means every Voyages, which is a residency that culminates in an event, has a different vibe, has a different artist, different collaborators, and different kind of scientific or philosophical concepts that are being explored by the artist. And I always think about the aquarium as actually being the largest art installation in the city. Because the aquarium is inherently an artistic place. It's the land of 1,000 prompts. Like you go in and all of these habitats for all of the animals in our care are crafted so lovingly, a lot of times by artists, by engineers, working with scientists, working with aquarists, to not only make sure that it is safe and sustainable and functional for the animals to thrive, but also for it to be beautiful and to become kind of a portal into that habitat that a lot of people are never going to actually get to go see.
Totally.
I'm not going to go cave diving in Mexico.
No.
But I do get to have a view into that and feel connected to the animals there because of the work of scientists and artists together.
I mean, the ocean in general, it's such a vast space, and there's so much that we don't know about it that I imagine that people who are invited to firsthand, like, see those kinds of environments and absorb them, like, you can't not let your imagination run wild, because there's just so much room for exploration and possibility, I would imagine.
It's endless. It's so vast is the right word. It's beautiful. Like, what I've gotten to learn throughout this whole process is getting to talk to all of these experts. I've gotten to learn about bioacoustic, like, measurement and study from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology.
I mean, I think I know what is that like whales or something when they like, is it like echolocation or something like that?
Well, just think of like the recording of living beings outside. So, you know, the Merlin app where you can listen to birds and it'll tell you, it came out of that lab. So because artist Shodake from Baltimore, beatboxer, vocal percussionist, was like invited to be our first artist for Voyages. And he was like, I want to learn how and why animals make sound. Like, what is that? So we found this bioacoustics lab and introduced them. And the conversation that came out of it inspired the first chapter of Voyages, where people could listen to scientists talk about and wax poetic, actually, about birdsong and how measuring it, you can, as a layperson, access understanding of the health of the environment you're in. So you want lots of bird sounds and insect sounds. So just kind of exploring the how and why animals make sound was the first Voyages chapter. And for an artist to want to explore the why has been really cool. I feel like each artist we've gotten to work with wanted to see how things are connected and the why behind things and see this interconnection and make art about that. And to help people feel that connection too has been really beautiful.
Do you think in a way it almost is like as rewarding for the scientists who bring some of this research forward? Because I feel like oftentimes those people just have to sort of put their findings into very kind of formulaic kind of like papers that just end up in a magazine somewhere, like, or like a publication of some sort. But in this case, it's like finding a new sort of outlet where an artist is giving it new life, or visualizing it in a different way, or is it like a symbiotic thing where the artists get as much as the researchers do, or how have you experienced that?
The first thing that comes to mind is our second chapter. We brought in musicians Jessica Keys and Patrick McMinn, musicians and composers, and they were really interested in. They created this computer program that basically sonifies water quality data and turns it into music. So they're taking all of these like oxygen levels and just all of the different readings that you can get from the water right out in the harbor, and then running it through a program to create music, to sonify it, and to have it presented in this beautiful way. And the scientist, it was I think Dr. Brian Smith from the Department of Natural Resources was like, you want to do what with my data?
Yeah.
What is this? And then he came and he heard it, and he was so energized by it. He's like, oh, I heard that. That was an oxygen event. I heard it. I could hear it.
Yeah.
And he was like, that is just so cool. I'm thinking about and hearing my work in a different way.
Yeah.
And now me, Sarah, as a curator, I'm like, wow, I'm thinking about water quality in a different way. I can hear it. Like there's music in everything. Like that's so poetic and beautiful, but it's also taking a hard number and just presenting it in a different way. And now that those artists, Jessica and Patrick, compose the music that you hear out on the Harbor Wetland, which is our free and open exhibit outside downtown. Come check it out.
That is so cool.
Where you can hear a live version of how the water quality is doing that day. So within 30 minutes, and hear a musical representation of it.
It's so inspirational, right? I mean, on both ends, right? It's inspirational for the people who are out in the field doing the work to think about what they're doing in a new and different kind of way instead of just like, ho hum, writing down on this spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then the artists as well are learning something and taking it away and being able to share in their community too. It seems like it's a very nourishing process in general.
I hope so. I mean, all of the information and like the residency piece for each of the artists is such a whirlwind each time.
Yeah.
Because there's so much so much information.
Oh, I'm sure it's an overload for sure.
And what's great is getting to introduce the artists not just to these like Department of Natural Resources. We've met with scientists from the California Academy of Scientists. We've met with, national acting scientists who are all over the country. But we also get to introduce them to all of the experts we have right here in Baltimore, in the aquarium, because we have leading researchers and leading scientists in their fields working at the aquarium also. So connecting Baltimore artists with their peers in a way, like their community members. Like we're all Baltimore, connected to Baltimore in some way, even if they don't live here necessarily, that is also a powerful part of the Voyages process.
It feels like it's not just like a generic art event. It's something that's designed by people from Baltimore, for people from Baltimore. It's not just that we just so happen to be the neighborhood where the aquarium exists. It's like we are part of the story too.
I'm so glad that is how it feels. That is the ultimate goal for us.
Yeah.
And I think what makes that work is that while we have amazing artists from Baltimore and brilliant scientists from all around, there's a huge team of people who work on Voyages and like guide it in its relevancy.
Yeah. Please tell me more, because it seems like it's got to be an undertaking.
So I think I'm on like the Voyages core team, and it's my department in marketing and engagement and community programs and strategic partnership, like this bubble of us. We work in the aquarium and then, of course, work with colleagues all across the aquarium. And we've formed a team of staff advisors for Voyages. So, I check in with them a few times a year saying, hey, this is what the artist wants to do. Do you have any suggestions? Where should we look? Which way should we start? Like, how should we start here at the aquarium? What scientists should we pay attention to? Who should we reach out to? So, like, that's staff advisors. And then also, how does the building work? Who can help me move the couches for the event? Who can move the parking validator? Yeah. So, like, that's staff advisors.
Important stuff, too.
Right, exactly. The logistics, the operations,
definitely important stuff.
Events-based things, and then also the art side, the research side. And then also making it look good and having the designers and all of that. So that's staff advisors. And then we also have a team of external community advisors, which operates in a way as like a board for Voyages. And they're so interesting. Like, truly, every person who's a community advisor is working on art or science or working in the community as a production person, a curator, program leaders, like people across the city are our external advisors. So, example, we have Sam Sessa from WTMD comes to mind as a name that people were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He knows a lot about programming. Right. He is like a representative of someone who can kind of gut check. Like, are we on the right track? We have Brianna Horn, who is the executive director for Pigtown Climbs, and she is so a leader in her community, also a microbiologist, and also is an artist herself. She makes these incredible living moss walls. So just two examples of people who are like working in this space of kind of like intersectionality of community, science, programming, and art kind of all together. So it's a group of people who can kind of gut check, are we on the right track, offer suggestions, and like really help guide the program.
And what's the goal? Like what are you hoping for when the doors open on any given day? Voyages, how often does it happen, by the way?
Voyages is once a year.
Okay, so on your yearly Voyages celebration, what could somebody expect to see, hear, feel when they enter the space?
What's exciting about Voyages is that it's different every time.
Okay.
But it always has the same ingredients of Baltimore artist, science, access to science, including the science that's just in the building, like in the aquarium, community gathering. So we have an after party. And that's kind of the recipe: art, science, and gathering. And Every artist gives it a different vibe and different flavor. So you get to come in at night. It is a nighttime event.
That's
you get to
super cool.
have local food and a beverage of your choice. You can walk on the aquarium, see the animals, interact with what's already there in the space, but then have this additional Voyages lens of the artist-led immersive experience. So then you're seeing like visual work that's projected. You're hearing like music chosen by the artist or composed by them. So kind of this Voyages lens over top of what's already there, but working with what's already there.
Right.
So it's very much enhancing certain storytelling, certain scientific concepts that are present in the aquarium, but through the Voyages lens, then all of the guests can come and kind of see the aquarium through fresh eyes, rekindle their relationship with the aquarium.
Yeah.
So it's that. It's like that's the recipe. But each one turns out such a different vibe, and there's something for different people each time.
I just think it's cool that you get to go in after hours. There's something, I don't know what that is.
Well, the original kind of guideline that we had when we started to develop the Voyages concept was to develop a new audience.
Right.
So they're like, make something for a new audience. We're like, well, first we have to decide who is that audience? Who are they? And so we did listening sessions, did market research and all of that, and then kind of developed this idea of like, oh, it's people in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's adults in Baltimore who would go to the aquarium if something special was happening for them, with them in mind.
And do you think that that's like also maybe informed by this, I don't know, age of living on our phones and social media or something like that? Like people kind of need a good reason or maybe a new activation to actually get off their couch and try something new?
That is definitely part of it. I mean, Voyages evolved from a lecture series, and it started as a lecture series in the 90s, and kind of the lecture piece is still embedded a little bit of like that the conversation between artists and scientists.
Education as well, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of like embedded into the program. But lectures have changed so much since the 90s, right? You're not going, like people still, of course, want to go and hear experts. They want to learn from somebody who's passionate and has deep knowledge about something.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a PowerPoint. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We can watch TED Talks on our phones.
Totally. We have access to so much information these days. But I think that, the beautiful part about this whole experience is that you're doing it in a way that you can't replicate in any other sort of set of circumstances. Like you kind of have to go to Voyages to experience Voyages, which to me, there's like an awesome kind of exclusivity, but also I think that based on some of our past conversations, there's also this desire to make it accessible as well. So it's this like interesting blend of premium experience meets, everyone's welcome, which I think is really, really cool.
It's definitely for people who want to engage with it.
Yeah.
If somebody is already kind of detached from that way of thinking, it's not for them. That's the way it is exclusive. If you are opting into like, oh yeah, you know what? I do want to go look at a fish.
Right.
Oh, an artist is going to have something else there too. Like there's that's one person. We want them there, right? Yeah. Someone's like, oh, I want to go to the aquarium. I want to look very stylish. I want to see and be seen and have a delicious cocktail and walk through the aquarium. It's for you.
Yeah.
I want to go see what artists are thinking about the environment. It's for you. I think that is the way you're choosing it. Voyages is to be chosen. And I think that has been made it such a great event. I mean, everybody who's there, I love seeing repeat people. We're seeing so many of the same people who want to engage with this kind of program. So each one is just an opportunity to choose nature and art and Baltimore.
I also wanted to make sure we talked about one specific chapter of Voyages featuring Nicoletta de la Brown. You told me last time we chatted that whole experience was designed around this, not even idea, the reality that being in a blue space can like literally heal you. Where did that inspiration come from? Did you feel like the vision was executed properly? Like, were you pleased with the way that it all turned out?
Oh, definitely. What led us down that path was Nicoletta.
Yeah.
Inviting her into this process. She is an artist who, the way she moves through the world is so much a part of her artistry. And she really wanted to know why she felt that way. She's like, I want to know what that feels like. Why is it that forest bathing and just and bathing ritual was a big part of her practice at that time. And so she was really thinking about water in a healing way. And she's like, why do I feel this way? Why does water do this? And so as the aquarium, we're able to put her in touch with scientists and experts who are studying that thing.
Yeah.
And we worked with this marine biologist named Dr. Wallace Nichols, who was a big proponent of aquariums being spaces of healing and spaces of like psychological, like of therapy.
Yeah, kind of a reset, right? I always feel like I exit that space with a clearer mind.
There's all these studies that being in aquariums lowers your blood pressure.
Yeah.
And that it's really helpful for, moments of healing. And that's what Nicoletta wanted to explore.
Yeah.
So we introduced her to Dr. Wallace Nichols, and they had this wonderful conversation about how the human body does have a physiological response to being in and around blue spaces. Like you feel better when you're in the forest. You feel better when you're like near an ocean or a lake or a river. Your body is just resetting in so many ways. So that's what then her installation and her performance work and the videos that she developed and projected were kind of calling to that idea.
To keep everybody safe, right? Like when you go to the aquarium, there has to be a certain degree of glass, enclosures, or there are these, there's a divide, right? Like you can't necessarily touch everything or feel everything. I think that's one of the things that I like a lot about this new evolution of the aquarium, that there is this ability to actually put your hand in water, to touch a jellyfish, to feel a horseshoe crab. Like, has there been internal conversations about like, how do we actually let people past the glass into these sort of spaces to continue this sort of process of healing and just connection to water in general?
That's beautiful. It's always such a balance, right? It's this balance of, like as you were saying, of safety and sustainability internally and giving people connection.
Yeah.
Because that is the goal. We want people to, the more you can connect with these animals, the more you can connect with these concepts about the watershed, about the water cycle, the more empathy can develop for the natural world that we are a part of.
Yeah.
And I think that our teams at the aquarium do a really great job of balancing that and communicating that. And Voyages is another way to invite people behind the glass.
Yeah.
It's seeing it through the lens of somebody in Baltimore, maybe your peer, maybe your friend, maybe your friend is that artist who is inviting you, come look at this world with me, come look behind the glass with me. And I think that, that programs like that can offer that opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's why I said earlier that it feels exclusive, but also accessible, because you can't necessarily open those sort of opportunities up to, a group of young people that is 100 strong, you have to sort of do it in a controlled manner. But that the magic really, to me, is like, how do you lift the curtain up a little bit and show us, but like you said, do it in a way that is responsible and also, sustainable. So I that must be a balance.
It's definitely top of mind for a lot of teams at the aquarium.
For sure.
And there's so many amazing people who work at the aquarium that's why we have such a great team of like interpreters and people who are out on the floor and educators who are just so excited and inviting you into their understanding. And I think that is what we're trying to do with Voyages, is opening up who can talk about conservation, who can talk about the ocean. Like, the table is big enough for more than just scientists to be at to talk about the health of the world,
Totally.
So I think that Voyages helps kind of cement that and elevate the voices of artists to be like, yes, we are all in nature together.
Yeah.
We are nature. We should all get the opportunity to talk about it and explore it in a way that makes sense for us.
Maybe we can talk a little bit more about conservation as well. I mean, I know that there are the sort of, tried and true, like, recycle and, be kind to the environment. What are you hoping that people walk away with, maybe more specifically from an event like Voyages, that they can take back into their lives, that they can share with, their community, so that we can see maybe a healthier ocean, or we can care for our planet in a better sort of way?
We love our big ocean planet.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
Places like the aquarium have, the draw is go in and see these beautiful animals. Seeing them, that connection, of course, can be the root of empathy
Sure.
for so many people. And then you start reading all of the signs, and then you start learning more. And then you start connecting to actions that are happening outside of the aquarium or within. So you can see about some of our like cleanup opportunities that are out in the world. You're like, oh, wow, the aquarium is out and cleaning, and they're planting trees, and they're like helping to maintain like coastlines and eroding, like, and you can see kind of that scale of like, wow, when an institution focuses on conservation, they can do things really big. But then I think that the aquarium is really good at offering people ways to connect to those efforts at a scale that's appropriate for them.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody can go out and do a cleanup. Not everybody can. Like, there's other ways to kind of connect with that work, including just making choices of what plants you put in the pots on your stoop. So that information is also at the aquarium.
Yeah.
Access to it. So going in, you look at the animals, but you can also read all of the signs and be like, whoa, hey, the next time I get oysters for my family cookout, I know to look up the Oyster Recovery Partnership and know where to drop all my oyster shells so I can conserve them. There's all these little actions that have a big impact over time. And then for Voyages, we really like to connect people to the work that is happening on a national level, like just starting to open eyes and pay attention. And then you as a person can decide what kind of action is appropriate for you.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to trick people into like making actions. Like, that's not the goal. But if people now are like, oh, I didn't think about the next time I'm at the ballot, oh, wow, what does voting blue mean? I've heard that now once at the aquarium. What does that actually mean? And then you can start looking at policies and looking at leaders in the political space of like, wow, who is doing what aligns with my values?
Yeah.
And now I have language that I got at the aquarium.
Yeah.
Like that is more what feels appropriate for us.
Yeah, I think that's great because it can feel overwhelming, right? I mean, these
I know, it's so much.
The things that at least that I'm hearing, like the headlines, that they can be overwhelming, and you can start to wonder, like, well, I hear you, there is this major problem, but like, where do we even get started? Like, it seems like it's kind of oppressive in that way. But I do think that you're right. Like those actionable things that we can do every day. Those are the kinds of things that I think the small changes can ideally lead to big outcomes.
Exactly. And that doom and gloom messaging, that it's hope, like that hopelessness in the headlines is by design.
Yeah.
That is by design to keep people thinking like, I am so small and I as a person cannot affect change. And that's not true, but it's also hard to unhear that. It's hard to feel that. But at places like the aquarium and other spaces in Baltimore, Blue Water Baltimore, other like cleanup organizations, there's so much happening. Baltimore Tree Trust, like these are organizations that are doing something about about these problems, about our environment. And I think, I don't know, just you have this desire to help and be helpful, and just you can look to see who's already doing that work, and because it is happening, and it's happening in Baltimore. So if you shut down from this doom and gloom, hopeless headlines, you're not looking up and seeing like, hey, there are people doing good. I want to go help them. I'm going to go find my people and help them in a way that is appropriate for me.
Totally. Well, it also sounds like the aquarium is a space where those kinds of stories are being highlighted as well, right? It's so easy for them, I think, to get overwhelmed by the doom and gloom. I think having a safe space to, shelter basically those stories of promise and of success is super important, because otherwise they can get lost.
And bringing in artists to this conversation and giving artists a platform to explore those feelings and to develop work that helps people process those feelings. And
the processing, for sure.
And to process, to not suppress, to not dismiss these feelings of, sadness about climate change, but then to celebrate what is happening, to connect with work that is happening, that is making a difference.
We've got another chapter of Voyages coming up. Is there anything that you can tell us about what we can expect next?
Absolutely. So each Voyages is a little bit different because we're trying to explore different mediums all throughout this series over time. So we've had a lot of music, we've had visual art, and Baltimore is built on, I used to think about the 4 pillars of art in Baltimore were, literary, visual, and performance, and culinary. So I really wanted to center the culinary arts for this chapter.
Oh, wow.
And when I think about the culinary scene, I think Chino, the blue-bearded foodie, who has been one of our Voyages advisors since the jump.
Oh, really?
So he has been a part of the Voyages community since we started, in our earliest listening sessions and our first meeting as the advisor group. And so he has had this concept, been very close to Voyages throughout this time, and really connects with the aquarium as a place of healing and learning. So Chino, the blue-bearded foodie, is our featured artist for Voyages Chapter 8.
Super cool.
And he is bringing in some incredible chefs from around Baltimore to create a menu that guests can enjoy that is all rooted in ideas of sustainability.
Okay.
And sustainability can mean so many different things. Yeah. And it's just a way for guests to, I'm afraid to give spoilers for this next chapter.
No pressure.
I will say that Voyages Chapter 8 will be in July. Tickets will be on sale June 4th. And on that day, you'll be able to read all about Chino's residency and about the chefs he's bringing in and the musicians for the after party as well. It's just going to be an incredible night of connecting in the aquarium, connecting through food.
Yeah.
So his artistry of storytelling through a food experience is going to be the highlight of the summer, I really think. And one of the last big events, I believe one of the last larger events in the harbor as we currently know it before construction begins downtown. So
that is true.
I think that this will be kind of a beautiful way to think about the harbor and the space through his eyes.
And for those who are interested in attending, what kind of info can you give us? Where can we get tickets? Where is it open to the public?
Sure, of course. Tickets go on sale June 4th at aqua.org/voyages.
Okay.
You can learn all of the information there. And I'm very proud that for every Voyages, you can apply for free tickets. We do have a pot of free tickets for every Voyages because we don't want cost to be a barrier to this event. So,
well, that's awesome to hear. Looking forward, though, I know we've got this Voyages coming up in July. I'm just wondering, as a person who's creative, as an artist yourself, what sort of possibilities do you think Voyages has yet to explore? What, with this deep blue ocean of Voyages possibilities, where do you think we're at in 5 years from now?
What makes Voyages, I think, successful is how many people work together for it. So not only is there a team of external community advisors and internal staff advisors and a Voyages core team, there's also the event volunteers, there's the production teams that we work with, there's it's so many people get to touch on it. And to quote one of our scientists, Angelo Villagomez, he was our science advisor for Chapter 5 with photographer Sean Champion. When asked, we ask all of our scientists, what gives you hope? And he talked about how he's hopeful because there's so many more people now at the table talking about conservation and environmentalism. People of more diverse backgrounds, not just white dudes. It's now such a more diverse group of scientists are now at the table, and not just scientists, but experts of all kinds are having these conversations. And he said, when you change the who, you change the how. And when you change the how, it changes the outcome. And that is what I think about the future of Voyages, is that it's going to continue evolving because there are so many good people who are contributing to it.
Beautiful. Well, we're super excited. I hope I can get in. I'm trying to get a ticket. It sounds pretty cool.
I know a guy.
All right, Sarah. Well, thank you so much again for being on When Creatives Thrive. And next time we do this, I want to do it at the aquarium.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know exactly where we can do it. It'd be great.
Thanks so much to Sarah for joining the podcast, and thanks to you for listening. As a reminder, the next edition of Voyages will set sail in July. Now is your chance to go to the aquarium website and learn more about Voyages. And remember, if you are a creative person with a story to share, reach out to me at srustin@promotioninarts.org to be featured on the podcast. And as always, When creatives thrive, we all rise.